So we went through a whole week in the dark, ended up being 8 days because we needed another day to get the electrician out to unplug the generator that we bought halfway through. So our goal today is to tell you what we used and what we liked and what we didn't like, and maybe get you ready if you should have a power outage that lasts a week. It's a long time.
If they say there's going to be a hurricane near you, just go ahead and prepare for a hurricane. Because it wasn't supposed to hit upstate South Carolina.
The last one that did was Hazel in 1954.
It was supposed to hit
Florida. She's not going to drink that tea.
My thing just came out.
Her little metal tea strainer was not screwed on, so now she's got all these lovely tea tidbits in there.
This will be nice. We'll fix it.
So Helene was supposed to go up the coast, as it usually does.
Go to Georgia, etc.
But it went some hundreds of miles to the west of where it was supposed to, and it stalled over North Carolina. Western North Carolina is absolutely a mess right now. If you have any opportunity to donate to anybody there, by all means do it, because entire towns are gone.
Like Chimney Rock, for instance. They had a mudslide.
There are places where people are still locked in their houses. The roads were washed away. I-40 will be out for a year, I just heard today. It's a disaster in every sense of the word. So our week without power was a very slight inconvenience compared to what's going on up in Western North Carolina. So if you want to pray for somebody, pray for the people of Western North Carolina, and I think parts of Tennessee are in the same boat. We're in the recovery stage now, and we're doing fine. Thanks for asking. So let's tell you the story, and as we tell you the story, we'll tell you what we had to do.
You might want warm water, because that's a...
Oh, Emma, what is going on today? The preparation began a few days before the hurricane. I do home health, and I was instructed to tell everyone what they should get, so I told them to get food, water, batteries, flashlight, and a place to go if they had to evacuate, and all my patients agreed that they were ready to go. So at 6:15 a.m. on Friday, I was sitting there eating my delicious breakfast of ground beef, and off goes the lights. So the first thing we did was make sure that we did not open the refrigerator, because you're told in a short-term power outage, don't open the refrigerator. Well, I did some research on that. You got 24 hours where the food is good and maybe 48 on your chest freezer. So if you are approaching 12 hours in an outage, go ahead and eat that food. Get out your camp stove or whatever you've got and use it, because you do not have 3 or 4 days on that food. The first thing that we used that we are thrilled we had was a Blackstone griddle. It's a propane griddle, and we cooked all our food on that. We also have a pellet grill, but it plugs in. We have a charcoal grill out there that we actually haven't opened and tried.
We did not. We actually bought it in the event that the power went out because of something like a hurricane, but we did not use it while the power was out during the hurricane.
But if something had happened and we'd gone so long that we had no propane, we were going to get the charcoal grill out. When your power goes out and you don't clean out your refrigerator right away, it's going to smell terrible. So you got to get baking soda and store up some, because I just now found baking soda again in the stores. And here's a nifty little trick. Once you've cleaned it out, you got to clean it out. It's nasty. Take a cotton ball and the essential oil of your choice.
Here we have cinnamon bark.
Cinnamon bark, choice. Very pungent. And you put the cinnamon oil or whichever oil on there. Now be careful with something like this, because some people have very sensitive skin, and that can be painful. You can always dilute any of these essential oils with something like olive oil, and that smells lovely. And then you put that in your refrigerator to help soak up the smell along with baking soda. This is also good if your car smells like smoke, or if somebody detailed your car and put one of those pine scented things in it and this doesn't smell good to you. Also, if you can get an ozone generator, those are very good at cleaning the smell of the air. You do that, you turn it on, and you go away, and the one we have goes up to 3 hours and then turns off, and then you come back and it smells like clouds in your house. And that will help destinctify once you get the electricity back on.
Yes. Also, if you have packages of ground beef in your freezer, don't wait until the power comes back on to get them out, because your ground beef will explode.
It sort of looks like it cooked itself.
It's nasty. Even the vultures don't want it.
So we have a wooded lot with 7 acres. So I put the nasty meats and things out there, and the vultures ate everything except the fat. They're vultures, buzzards, whatever they are. Nature will eventually restore that. So that was on day 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked out at the driveway. It's a circle driveway, and on the left side of the driveway, 3 or 4 little trees had fallen.
She was planning to go to work.
Yeah, Friday morning. And then on the right side, 4 or 5 monster trees.
Just stacked up
Yeah.
on the driveway.
Emma's father spent a good bit of the day with his chainsaw. And what he did, so this big tree has this big tree in its branches.
And it's all
At
the way
this
across.
angle that will cause damage if it comes down suddenly.
Right.
So he took little 1 foot, 2 foot segments of the tree, and then it would fall down. And that way, he was just segmenting it, and so we got it to where there was room to pass through the driveway. And it's still standing there.
Yeah. He gave
Because-
it knees.
Yeah, because now it's going to fall in a place that'll be fine when the branches of this tree can no longer bear it. So if this is the tree, he put a notch like this so that it would fall in a way that landed it right there and didn't make it come at anybody.
So we had little pine tree watermelon slices.
Yeah, and then he took that bucket tractor that he very much enjoys driving at about 2 miles an hour, and he put these enormous heavy logs in the bucket and took them to the edge of the property so that anyone who would like big logs could go get them. But
I
there's
helped with that.
no problem getting logs right now throughout
Yeah.
North and South Carolina and I suppose
Everybody's got
Georgia.
'em. Yeah,
Tennessee.
Georgia was hit pretty hard too.
It's a mess out there. There were no stoplights that first day. Did we go out at all Friday? I don't know if we went at all Friday.
The only place we went Friday was to the Food Lion parking lot so that you could sync your tablet.
Oh, I did a lot of walking because my job involves syncing a tablet in order to get my patient visits down and then send them back up. So in order to do that, I had to walk half a mile up the road to the first spot that had a worthwhile connection.
Which is also how I emailed my teachers to tell them I didn't have power.
Right, she does virtual school. So the first day we drove 5 miles to the Food Lion parking lot to sync and sat there half an hour or an hour, along with all the other people sitting there. They were either syncing something, trying desperately to get a signal, or maybe just charging their phones, which brings me to inverters. When you have a power outage, this is a power bank. You need
Love 'em.
some of these.
We have another one currently
Yeah.
attached to the camera.
Yeah, we use it all the time, and it holds a lot of power because then we can go outside and film and things like that. But this one's from Veridian, and so we charged this and we charged that and got a lot of use out of that. Now the flashlight out there, we used a lot of flashlights because we were sitting in the dark. We went to bed at 7 p.m. like if we lived on Little House on the Prairie. This one's from Olight. It is a lantern.
And we also have this, which is an O bulb,
Yeah,
which
also
turns
from
on,
Olight.
and my goodness, that's bright.
It's magnetic, so we would put that on the side of the black stone grill so that we could see the food while we were cooking it.
And this is how we ate.
This one
Lantern
is
light.
from, what are they called? Four Patriots?
Yes. It has the little thing to break glass and all that.
This is a nifty little thing from one of those survival companies. It's got this. If you're stuck in your car, you can bust the windshield. It's got that light.
Very bright.
And I'm going to shine it away from you. Got strobe. And then if you long press it, you got these lights. And they come in colors and strobiness and stuff. And the nice thing about this one is if we had been truly desperate, we could have put the USB there and charged our phones. That what we missed was connectivity. Because we had to do, but got a lot of walking in.
Did not have Wi-Fi, did not have anything. Although, The walking did allow us to meet one of our neighbors and find out
He
some
knew
interesting things about our neighbors.
He knew the whole neighborhood, so we're up on everything now in the neighborhood. The most delicious food that we ate during this time, survival food, was in fact this Four Patriots chicken and beef. This was shredded beef.
Yeah, they had, or the ground beef and shredded chicken.
Was it ground beef that we had?
Yeah, we had the ground beef and the shredded chicken because those are the two that were closest to me.
Because this big giant package that we bought had ground beef, shredded beef, pork, turkey.
Yeah.
You can get them. What we'll probably be able to link to you is not going to be just the meat variety pack, but just one that has other things, pasta and stuff. But I only eat meat when I can help it. So this was the most delicious food that we ate. We just cooked that on the Blackstone coconut oil. Excellent, easy.
And what we ate the first 2 days. But then we went to the grocery store and got such things as, well, store-brand saltines and peanut butter.
So we have a water distiller that we did get on Amazon, and we make 2 or 3 gallons a day. So we had about 10 gallons of that lying around. We are on well water.
So when the power's out, the water's out.
Yeah, when the power's out, you don't have your well pump. You only flush when you poo. And the way you do that is you get some water that you've gotten from somewhere and you put it in the back of the tank and then you can flush.
Also, the water didn't immediately go out. We have 2 storage tanks of water that have the pressure. So for Friday, we had water. Like we had running water.
Yeah, as long as the pressure holds up, you can still flush with your well. But once that is used up, then the well's not pumping more. That generator used 10 gallons of gas a day, so he kept going back to get 5 more gallons of gas. So you got to know that. So now people are talking about how they're going to store gas with stabilizer in it. Now we have 55-gallon drums. We have 3 drums of rainwater. It comes in from the sky, and we can dispense it, and that's good for, say, feeding the goats and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then we have 3 drums of well water that we've pumped. For washing our hands, pouring distilled water over. I also used hypochlorous when I got tired of pouring the distilled water on my hands.
And hand sanitizer after feeding the goats.
Hand sanitizer, just whatever. You just got to get those hands clean. And sometimes I would just take the soap and rub it because the friction is actually what gets the dirt off. And then I would just sort of dry it with a paper towel. I really missed ice after walking all those miles to Sink, so I went to the office, and somebody must have stored something fruity in that freezer because then the ice was fruity.
We also had this thing,
Oh, so we had this crank radio, which does work. You crank it, scan it.
But there was nothing. I think you have to spin
You
it
reset at the beginning. Oh. That's right. It's very Gilligan's Island. Once the generator was on, we were able to hook up the Starlink that we had out there and get pretty good coverage. The Spectrum also could have done with the generator, but it had 2 large things to plug in. We're trying not to use
Also,
any more
Spectrum
water.
was on the fritz.
And we got a shout out to the linemen. There's nothing more beautiful than a big white electricity truck.
Especially one sitting in your driveway.
The hurricane was 600 miles wide and involved Duke is the epicenter of it. Duke runs the electricity around here, and then you have co-ops, and ours is called Lawrence Electric. Mm-hmm. And Lawrence Electric had to depend on Duke. 30 of the 34 substations were destroyed and had to be totally rebuilt.
Yes, and the other 4 were offline. So none of the substations were on when they first started working on it, and I don't even think they managed to start working on it until late Saturday.
They were doing things, but they couldn't get to the final hookup of people until Duke had done its stuff, and there was so much damage. Nobody's faulting anybody here on that.
Yeah, and
that was just a lot to do.
I mean, there were trees on our road. I think half of the people on our road that have Duke instead of Lawrence Electric are still out of power because for some reason all of the trees fell on the Duke side of the road instead of the Lawrence Electric side of the road, and just tree after tree suspended in power lines. There were people in neighborhoods. One house had power, 2 more houses didn't have power, and then you had power again. But they did do their best. I think they got all of the hospitals back online by Sunday, didn't they?
Now, I learned more about electricity than I ever thought I needed to know. For instance, our church is a rather large building. It's on at least three different circuits. So we had power to one part of the church, and just today during the service, which we held in the fellowship hall, the rest of the church came on.
And actually, The church is incredibly large, but the reason it has three different, at least three actually, different things is because it was built in several different decades.
Mm-hmm. And so every time you hooked up, you were hooking up to whatever they had then. So laundry just didn't do any.
No.
So
Oh, and paper plates.
finally, I had Emma do the dishes that were sitting in the dishwasher.
This was when we already had a generator, though, so we did boil a kettle of water and pour that into the sink. But I did actually manage to get a lot done for the half an hour that I had warm water. But the other half an hour when I was getting all of the grease and stuff off with lukewarm to cold water, I used a lot of Dawn and a lot of elbow grease.
What you need is a lot of friction to get that off. And I noticed everyone sat out on the porch. The weather was lovely after the hurricane. It was nice, highs in the 70s and 80s. It was very nice to sit outdoors, but I could pretty much tell what neighborhood had power by whether there were people sitting on the porches. About every other stoplight was out, and probably there's still, 10% or so are still out. If there is no light at all, they're totally black, that is a stop sign. You stop. The problem is you got a four-way stop with multiple lanes, and that's why it's confusing. Regular four-way stop, it's pretty easy. There's this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, and whoever goes there first, you can handle that. But you stop, even if there is no cross traffic, you stop. You'll look to make sure there's no cross traffic because you don't know what's going around the corner, and then you can go. If there is someone there, you let people go in order. These two can go together. If one of them's turning left, he's probably going to go after the straight people and the right people. And then it's your turn, and you go, and then they go, and you go, and they go. And that's really all there is to it. But it's not 6 people in this lane and then 6 people in that lane. And what we tend to do is the big road just keeps going. That's what I've always noticed. In Ice Storm, and the little road just gets in there.
Like Appalach Crossing, because that's what, 8 lanes of traffic this way and 2 lanes of traffic this way.
So the 8-lane road, just what actually happens is they just go. It's not how they're supposed to do, but it's what they do. Now, if you come along and there's a blinking red light, that means you have to stop, wait for the traffic, and go. If it is a blinking yellow light, you just need to use caution, and the minor road that you're intersecting with just needs to wait on you. Any disaster does bring out the best and the worst in people. Please bring out the best when it's you. And just remember, whatever is going on in your head is also going on in everyone else's head. They're in a hurry. They haven't been able to flush their toilets maybe either. It's frustrating. The gas lines were tremendous. Here's your secret. If you get into a situation with gas lines, go early in the morning before the impatient people are up and you have the best chance. And there's usually a $30 limit, and at some point you have to start paying cash. Mm-hmm. All right, so if you get into a hurricane, be kind and share, be patient, realize that it will end, and if you have anything that you can send it to the people in Western North Carolina because they need some prayer and some physical help. And until we see you again,
make sure to make time for Tea and a Good Book.